Well, hello, everybody. How you doing? Steve Stockton here with you from Beyond, and the other half of the show here, Lee G. How you doing, Lee? Can't hear you.
I'm all right, mate. I
There
said
you go. Now we can hear you.
would help if I switch my mic on. Yeah, it's not like me to be
Just
muted.
a little bit. Oh, let's see who we got here. Oklahoma Nana is in the chat here to listen to her friend, dear friend, Sir Bryan Bowden. Brian's in the chat himself. Glenn Dennison, D Rock. Uh,
Yeah.
we
Hi,
got a
Oklahoma.
smattering of people here. We'll give them a minute or
Hi,
two
Glenn.
to get.
Hi, D Rock. All right, mate.
Give people a minute
Yeah,
or two
they're
to
piling
pile
in
in,
now. They're
and
piling in.
we'll bring our guest in here in a moment. And I would read you his bio, but the show's only an hour long, so.
Yeah. It's not that funny.
But he's a good guy. He was on my radio show, Everything Out There, over on the Clyde Lewis Ground Zero radio network last week. And so if you missed that, then you get to watch him here. But if you missed that, go back and listen to it over there too. It's on the Aftermath Media site, and in a couple of weeks, it'll be out on Spreaker and iHeartRadio and all those places too. So, Lee, what's happening with you?
Same old, mate. You know, I wrote an half decent track last night. If you haven't seen it, it's quite a good one last night.
I saw a little bit of it. I had to come in and harass you, and then I fell asleep.
Yeah, yeah. Like,
Needs
well,
more cowbell.
I've left a timestamp in the comments, so you can go straight to listen to the track. So
Did you
it's all right.
timestamp the part with the cowbell?
No, you know how I feel about a cowbell, and I'm not going to talk about it any longer, Mister Stockton. I'll give you cowbell in a minute.
Let's see, there's a little bit of echo on me. Echo, echo, echo.
Yeah, I don't know why.
Got my phones
I
on.
haven't
Maybe
got
I'm
an
sitting
echo.
too close to the microphone. I don't know.
That's probably what it is, mate.
Need to turn my volume's at 69%. Let me turn it down a little bit there.
I've got no volumes on
Now I
anywhere
can't hear
apart from
you.
this.
So, okay. Hopefully
Well,
that'll
all right.
fix it.
Well, all right.
All right. Well, let's go ahead and bring him in here. Instead of reading his bio there, I'll just let him talk about himself. Sir Bryan Bowden, come on in here, Brian. How you doing, buddy?
I'm doing good. Do not read that bio. I get so much. I investigate for Bronxville Paranormal Society with Al Santoriga a lot. And every time I do something, I try to put it into the bio and it does get longer. And he goes, "Oh, you put another paragraph in." And I'm like, "Yeah."
Might as well just
So,
turn that into a novella and publish it.
yeah, well, I'm going to work on that.
I mean, it's good stuff. You've had a storied life, as they say.
Yeah, well, the reason why I put it in there as what I was focused on initially, I was always been into this subject, be it Bigfoot, Loch Ness monster, ghosts, cryptids, aliens, and whatever through TV, horror shows, monster movies, and whatever it is. But I also like the sciences, so I started studying physics and then astronomy, and I couldn't make money at it, because if you just work for a university, they own everything you publish. I'm not like that. So I went into business, but I kept still investigating this stuff. So it's pretty interesting that, and this is how it evolves. And then through the investigations, I've done some stuff on Discovery Plus, different shows, a cryptid show, and a couple of UFO shows, and I'm working on some stuff right now. Hopefully, fingers crossed, we can get my own show, not for fame, but literally to get to use really expensive equipment on investigations that I can't afford.
Yeah, wouldn't that be nice to have a production company with the budget for, and you could just go crazy and buy all the high end stuff that you wanted?
Right. I mean, like in about a week, I'm going on a Bigfoot expedition in Florida for a couple of days. And we were toying with it because the area is a Class A area, but it's been kind of washed out because of the rain down here. And from my personal experience on any investigations, Plan Bs are awesome. So anytime we've ever had like a plan A to go, to this spot and something's happened, we switch to the plan B. We always get interactions. We get evidence. I mean, it's just off the chart. So I'm looking forward to that. But it would be great to be able to go. And this guy's a movie guy too. He has his own production company. Great guy. And but it would be great to be going to whoever the production guys are and say, we need that $70,000 military drone, like that, to hover over while we're doing the Bigfoot thing. And this way we can get real FLIR, instead of like, the handhelds and they're still expensive, but there's some other equipment that is really useful in the field. So hopefully, fingers crossed, I get to.
Nana says in the chat there, Oklahoma Nana, let's manifest that for Bryan.
Oh, yeah. I'd rather manifest that lottery win than I'll go buy it for everybody.
There you go. And if you do capture UFO, you have to take us for a ride in it.
Oh, definitely. Not a problem. But there's some things like, there's a couple of water creatures and water sites. Even in Michigan, there's a pyramid under the water. There's an Aztec pyramid they found in one of the lakes in Michigan. And how cool would it be to be able to say, hey, can we get a couple of personal subs? Which they make one person.
I don't want much, then. It's only a small budget.
It's a small budget, but they make these things, and they're about 20 grand. But I'm sure you can, probably rent them out, and just an idea.
Yeah, it's a thought. Just be careful with that. Remember, they had that submarine that they built, and those guys, the billionaires, wanted to have the Titanic experience, and boy, they got one, but it wasn't what they planned on.
When I used to work for broker dealers on Wall Street, I worked for a couple of great organizations that were like, they've written books about because of the legendary events and antics that took place on the floor. I mean, we had a chimpanzee at one point, a roller skates, and there's some fun stuff. But I remember I put a bid on a 67-seat military-grade submarine. And it was out of Tennessee. They had it in dry dock. You had to get it from Tennessee to New York. And everybody's like, what the hell are you buying a sub for? I'm like, I put it in the Hudson River, painted yellow, and I'll use it for, bringing people to work, back and forth to work, build the yellow submarine, right?
Bowden's yellow submarine. There
exactly.
He used to be in the Beatles, and he decided to make himself a yellow submarine.
There you go, John Paul. I'm going to go get milk. And I missed it by $4,000. And thank God I did, because when my wife found out, she was like, you did what? So I bid on a sub. I also bid on 2 underground bunkers, missile silos, Nike missile silos. One was in Kansas, and the other one was someplace else in the Midwest. And she was like, what are you going to do with it? And, well, there's a lot of things you can do with it. You do things that are legal and illegal.
Yeah, don't live in it. That's what I did. I'd like to be that far away.
Steady. Got a delivery for you, mate.
It was like that when I lived in Oak Ridge, out to the National Laboratory. They would have auctions.
Yeah.
Sealed bid auctions. And you could get all kinds of high-tech scientific equipment and stuff. I bought some. I got Geiger counters. I got microfiche readers.
Let me tell you.
All kinds of stuff.
The military gives, they get rid of stuff that for their generations ahead technology wise, but the stuff that they get rid of is pretty good. You can get a Gen 3 or 4, which is military grade night vision, which is great for any investigation. You're doing ghost hunting, Bigfoot, Dogman, UFOs, and a lot of these places get them that are military surplus. If somebody in the military, you could pick up one of those bad boys for about $700. Wow. That's a couple of grand that that you're saving on those things. So yeah, take them. I try to look for options, because most of us that go out there aren't financially backed by somebody. I think David Paulides is backed financially by someone. So he has a little bit more wiggle room, but I'm not. I'm self-backed, and we have what we can get in the current market. I mean, I know people in Ben Hansen from all the UFO stuff. I worked with Ben twice. He has a company that makes glass and night vision scopes, starlight stuff for the military as well as the consumer market. But I can't afford that. You're talking about tens of thousands of dollars.
That's the same as myself. I want to do better videos and stuff for music videos, but obviously you need the camera equipment for that, and you're talking ridiculous amounts of money. Oh, hello, Steve's just dropped out,
and just like that, he disappeared.
And
he
just
got
like
beamed
that,
into
I
another
used my powers, my magical powers.
Sorry, I had to put the sound effect in. There we go. And well, you have a real piano, so I don't have that hooked up to this. I have the guitar stuff, and there's an amp, a huge Fender stack over here that my buddy gave me. I appreciate it. But
yeah, I've got some equipment myself. A couple of bits, here and there.
Oh yeah, I'm a guitar guy.
Yeah,
hey John,
I got me guitars.
You guys got to get John Russell on your show. He's in the chat right now. John Russell is an amazing psychic and author. I mean, he's legendary. I think he just did Coast to Coast. Steve, I don't know if you've talked to John before, but John Russell's in the chat right now. He's a psychic and author. Amazing. You got to. You're gonna want to talk to him.
Good to meet
I'll try to connect you guys if it's all right with you, John. I'll ask you first.
Yeah, that'd be great. Thank you.
But everybody's like trying to manifest, like just manifest me winning the damn Powerball or Mega Millions. Okay, that is the one thing I always ask when I introduce. Well, when I meet someone who is psychic or has abilities, right? I test them, or I try to, because being born and raised in New York City, I know a lot of the games. So I sit there, I don't do any tells, I don't do any movements or get excited, or I'll purposely get excited things that are meaningless and see if they key on it, whatever. And but there's some people that are really spot on. I don't, once they know, and I tell them, well, I do have abilities myself. And I was testing you a bit, but you've been spot on. And they say certain things. The one thing I always ask every psychic is I ask two questions. What are the lottery numbers? And who are my guardian angels and why do they drink? Because clearly they're not doing a good job. And that usually gets them off balance, but they can't give me the lottery numbers. And only one person was able to tell me that one of my guardian angels is a shorter gentleman who is English. So I said, oh, bloody good. Splendid. Yeah. But I love the fact we're in the UK, right? Are we still in the UK, Lee?
I am indeed. Yeah. I'm in the south of the UK. I'm in Southampton. I'm in the home of where the QE2 left from.
Oh, that's nice.
And also the Titanic. The Titanic's last voyage was from here as well.
Well, if you're ever taking a cruise out of the UK and they tell you to go to that area, you may want to bypass that.
Yeah,
I might
avoid
that. By Stonehenge, right? Stonehenge and Bath or something.
Stonehenge is about 20 minutes from me.
Yeah, I went. That place is just, as they say, magic. I've always wanted to go. I went there. Unfortunately, I had that London fog thing going all day long. But so my theory on Stonehenge is that it wasn't a burial site. I think it was actually used it's a transportation hub, and they used the vocals of the worshipers to different tones and frequencies, and they were able to create portals from it. And there used to be a lot more stones there, and they aren't. But I definitely believe that they used some sort of vocal sound.
Do you think, as it's one of my beliefs, that we used to be more in touch on a frequency level to everything, right? And I think that TV, radio, everything that they do, we'll call them they,
right,
suppress the abilities that you're supposed to have in the first place. The same as animals know which direction to fly, and it's a natural inbuilt thing. It's not woo woo. It's a natural thing, and we're supposed to be more in touch vibrationally speaking.
Well, I think the key to everything is exactly what you just said. It's sound, frequency, vibration,
and sound. Yep.
And the reason why is, when Tesla, who was really the genius there, that man literally told you if you only knew the power of 369, you'd understand what's going on.
Yep.
Life and everything around it revolves on sound, frequency, and vibration.
And yep.
And what's interesting is that most people don't realize it. We use sound, frequency, and vibration constantly on investigations. And one of the things we use, I use a lot of apps, right? But I don't have it here at my will, but I use something called singing bowls.
Yeah, I know.
And you're hearing it right now. And I use an app. It's called Bowls. And I can ramp up on a Bluetooth.
Good job you said that right.
Yeah.
Not bowels or bowls. And what's great is it gives me different bowl sounds and frequencies.
Yeah, I know the ones.
Another thing we do is we use another app. I use it. It's
for
binaural
Gregorian
beats.
chants. Gregorian chants is
we use Native American beats, like drum beats.
Right. Okay.
And then we use something you're hearing it right now. It's binaural beats, and this is different wavelengths. So this is beta, theta, and gamma waves, and we just let it run. And normally what happens is when you're doing this, you could be in an area and there's nothing going on. We've been there 9 out of 10 times when you go on a ghost adventure or a cryptid experience or something to that effect. You're not going to see anything. There may be things there, but they may not be revealing themselves to you, or maybe it's dormant for whatever reason. And every time we go to the bowls and we start doing audio work with Native American, chanting, that type of, whatever, we ramp up that air. We get that air excited, and we start getting 100% getting stuff. I mean, it's really, really crazy how quickly this works. And this is the key to everything. I did a program, and I'm not doing it to plug myself. I just want you to watch the one section there. It's on Discovery Plus. It was Alien Invasion Hudson Valley UFO. So I'm doing, I'm getting interviewed by the producers to see if they want you to come on. I told him about it. I told him about my theory, my work, my research. Been doing it 40 plus years. And I said, he goes, well, I like what you have to say. I said, I promise you, I'm bringing in craft when you have me come on. And the guy's, like, he's laughing, yeah, you're going to bring in craft. And Steve disappeared again.
That's right. As soon as you said about bringing in craft, he was beamed away. You see, I told you this happens,
So, and I want to see if he comes back. I don't want him to miss out on it. But let me see. Hold on, we'll get crickets. I have some. Trust me, I got a lot of good sounds on this one. So he didn't believe that I was going to bring in craft, and he had no, whatever. Fast forward to when we're there at this location we told him to go to, which I've seen a triangular UFO hovering over numerous times after investigating a little bit further north in New York State. And to the point where I'm driving back from upstate New York, and then you see this triangle craft with some like beam or light coming down into the woods. And he's back, everybody.
Yeah, my internet up and down.
No. I hear you. Trust me. So what I was saying, I don't know if you caught it, but I interviewed to be on this program, the Alien Invasion, and I promised him I'm bringing in craft. So we picked a specific location in upstate New York, and because we can get the permits, everybody can get the permits, no one's going to get kicked out. And I promised the guy, I'm going to bring in craft. You're going to be videotaping real craft. And he's like, yeah, I've heard this before. Well, the experts were Melissa Title, Ben Hansen, and Mark D'Antonio. Those are the 3 experts for this show. I know Mark personally. I didn't know Ben at the time. I mean, I knew him off TV, whatever. And Melissa, really nice people. So we go there. Now, the interesting thing is we're at this location on a lake. And the original director, this is during the COVID stuff, he kept testing positive for COVID. So he had to stay in the hotel by himself. So they hired a new person, a woman director. Her name is Layla. She's great, but it's not spelled. It's the Middle Eastern Layla, not Lay, like Layla, you got me on my knees, okay? And so we're there, and I said, what we're going to do is we're going to start ramping up the energy. So we started using the bowls, we started using the singing bowl, and they're filming. And the minute we started doing that, ramped it up for a few minutes, I took out a novelist or a phonetic generator, if you want. The first thing that pops up on the phonetic generator, it says Layla. So the director goes, what did it say? I said, it said Layla. She starts freaking out, right? After that, we'll continue with the singing bowls. Melissa's doing some of it. And these objects start flying into the lake area, and they're hovering in the tree. And you see this all on camera. And they're kind of like doing a peekaboo, like they're looking at us, they're getting close, and then they're flying back. And then this other ship comes, like it's a bigger light that comes down. Ben Hansen busts out, the psionic, the night vision. He's filming it. It was so interesting for him and Mark D'Antonio, who's an astrophysicist, basically. Mark couldn't figure it out. He couldn't explain it. Maybe it's a meteor shower. There's no meteor showers this time of year. I said, I told you, I'm bringing in craft. Ben had it, and he was so intrigued that his wife, I believe, who was pregnant at the time, calls him, and he says, I got to go. I'm doing a UFO thing. Boom, and hung up on her. You don't hang up on a pregnant wife at all, unless you want, retribution down the line. And they have this video, and there's definitely an intelligence in these objects that keep peeking over to us and then going around. And this is what sound, frequency, and vibration does. When you raise your vibration, do you ever hear of that? People say, well, you got to raise your vibration.
Yeah.
And a lot of times what happens is when you do raise your vibration and good things happen, you're raising your vibration, right? So there's a PhD doctor I know he's known as the safety doctor. He went to the University of Wisconsin. He just finished his doctoral thesis. He's bringing it into the office. Great day for him. I'm done. I'm going to get my PhD. Boom, boom, boom. Been in the office the entire, been on campus, I think 7 years of his life. He knows it well. He lives in Wisconsin. He walked in the building to go upstairs to the next level, and it looks like he said the lights were different. It was more incandescent, yellowy lights. And there was plastic everywhere, and everything looked a little bit different. It looked older than it used to. And he comes out of the elevator. He's on the second floor, and he's walking around, and none of the offices that he remembers are there. He wants to get this thesis in so he can be done, right? He's vibrating at a higher frequency. And he's trying to find the places like where nothing's getting into his brain. Like, where are we? This is not the same place. He comes across a gentleman who looks like he's wearing older clothes and a cap on his head, like old clothing, like 1800s. And the gentleman goes, can I help you, sir? He goes, yeah, I'm trying to find whatever the office was. He goes, let me help you get out of here. And the guy takes him to the elevator and then takes him and lets him go outside. Maybe you should go outside, try a different entrance. And he's like, okay. So he goes out. He comes back in.
Sounds like the Adjustment Bureau.
No. What happened was...
But like a time portal thing.
Yes. And this is how people would do it. When you change your frequency and vibration, you can travel space and time. You have to understand something. Time is an Earth's construct, right?
Yeah,
There's no
exactly.
time outside any
There's
place.
no, well, like I say in one of my songs, there is only now.
There is only now.
There's no such thing as yesterday and tomorrow and
Right. So in theory, you can travel back in time. I don't care about Einstein's theory. Einstein was wrong. Okay. Listen to Tesla. You can travel forward and backwards in time. And there are multiple timelines, and you can get into that later on. But the thing is, past, present, and future are all running at the same time. And you can see the past, present, and future. That's when you pass on from this life, this earth, physical shell, and you get up to heaven. Okay. If you're lucky, you don't get stuck in the ether. You know what's going to happen tomorrow. You know what's going to happen 10 years from now. You know, you can see it, but there's certain things in heaven, depending on what level you come into, where you can or cannot interfere with it. Some people say, screw it. I'm going to, that's my kid. I know this, I'm going to interfere. And people have, and then they get stuck on a certain plane. But others don't interfere. They just go along with the plan. But they know past, present, and future. They know like when that car is coming. My friend had his dad who's been dead for a while. He heard his voice, be careful. And he paid attention. He had to swerve quickly around a car because he was not paying attention. That is an intervention. What's happening is you raise your frequency, you go into a higher level and higher dimensions, and you see things for what they really are, and you can transverse. You can go from 2024 back to 1824. And the people that are aware of this and aware of raising their vibration, their consciousness, they do this all the time. These are psychic mediums. These are people that have gifts and abilities, but some people are not aware. The reason why he was able to do that, and I told him he doesn't fall into all this stuff, right? He's like, well, it's, he's interested in it, but he doesn't subscribe to it. One of the greatest things to raise your vibration besides sex, and I'll tell that straight up, that ecstasy of love and sex is happiness. When you're happy, you raise up to a new level. And the higher the level, the higher the vibration, the less the little things on the bottom matter. He was so excited and happy to stop with his studies, to start his life as a PhD, that everything, he raised himself up to a level which helped him transport from current reality into 1824. And he was unaware of it. He only got that awareness when he noticed the weird garb on the gentleman and the light fixtures were yellow. And he's like, this is not the same place I remember with the fluorescent lights. And the gentleman he met, I think he's still there working on that project in a different time. And he knew it. He recognized this guy's not supposed to be here. Let me get him out, and got him out. So we use sound, frequency, vibration all the time. It's really good for bringing in craft. It's really good if you want to get spirits in the area, like, call them ghost spirits, whatever, going. We definitely have a lot of success with this stuff. With Sasquatch, Bigfoot, I prefer calling Bigfoot. Usually there's something about it that kind of gets them feeling content, like you're on their frequency. I believe they are at a higher frequency than we vibrate at. And so, yeah, sound, frequency, vibration is huge at this point.
And you mentioned 369 and Tesla talking about that. That's the golden ratio, the start of it anyway.
Yep.
The Fibonacci sequence.
Fibonacci sequence.
Yep,
and what's really interesting is it was Royal Rife who started with binaural beats. And that man knew that everything on this planet, steam, every virus, your body, everything has its own frequency. And what happens, the famous commercial of the lady, the opera singer singing, like high pitch, and then the glass vibrates and breaks. Well, guess what? You can use that to kill This guy was killing cancer cells. He was killing leukemia-based cells. He was healing people with frequency.
Yeah, they soon put a stop to him.
Oh yeah, of course. It's a multi-billion-dollar industry.
Yep. They
You know,
make
like-
money off of people's illness.
No,
They don't want you. They don't want you healthy. They just want you ill constantly. That's
There's
what they
more
do.
money in the cure. They're in the treatments than in the cure.
oh,
Yep.
of course. And then you look into cymantics. Cymantics is you change the frequency. Get an old speaker and put a piece of wood or something on top of it, and then sprinkle some salt.
Yeah, and you get the different patterns.
You get the different patterns. What do they look like? They look like stained glass windows in churches.
Or
right?
no, they're more reminiscent of snowdrops.
Snowdrops, snowflakes, but every one of those frequencies, you can use frequencies to retune yourself. That was what's supposed to happen when you go to a church. When you communicate with God, if you believe in God or whatever your higher power is, that religious experience, and I'm using that as a term, that spirituality where you feel good and you're connecting to source, that energy is sound, frequency, vibration. That helps heal you. It's not a coincidence that if someone is, you know what I see on Facebook all the time? This dumb device, which I use on every investigation. All I've been seeing is, I need prayers. Please pray for me. Pray for me. So I always say the same thing, and I mean it: prayer, healing, recovery, blessing, sent. The act of praying for someone, even just saying prayer, just typing prayer, the fact that you took a second out of your day to write prayer or praying or put the praying emoji on
I
there.
do that. I drop the 3 of the little praying emojis,
Yep.
and I've seen an increase in that. I don't know if it's
Yep.
because I respond to it and that's the algorithm or what, but every time I go on Facebook now, there'll be hundreds of people asking for prayer.
Because people are realizing, it's been studied. They've done tests around the globe where they had these monks of Tibet all started praying for like a month for humanity and the goodness of humanity and the goodwill of humanity and peace and love. And they did it for a month. They took off a month and then they did it again.
I think it was more than that because I think there was groups all around the world doing that.
Right. But what
It wasn't
happened?
just one, it wasn't just one group. They were all there was groups
Well,
around the world all doing
right.
it at the same time to pray.
They started
praying
it
for
and then
better
everybody's kind of
times.
keyed in on it, right?
Yeah.
What happened? They noticed a noticeable difference. That when they started praying that for the positive and the peace and the love, violent crime went down, rape went down, murders went down. Everything kind of like settled. It kind of lowered itself. The pressure valve, it was noticeable. And then they were able to notice it they use traffic on the internet a lot. They scrape the internet traffic. And they noticed that, wars and violence, things slowed down. People weren't killing each other as much. People were, things started to level out and go back to a normal level. And then when they stopped doing it, it goes back up again. That tells you that positiveness and using your conscious, right? So this is right here, your pineal gland.
I think there's definitely something to positivity.
Well, there
Definitely,
is.
and negativity. There's definitely the yin yang.
Let me tell you.
There's definitely something there with that, because I mean it just goes to show you, just in the way if you speak to someone in a certain tone, and their response is aggressive or whatever, because you've spoken in an aggressive tone yourself.
Right.
If you speak in a gentle tone, you get a gentle response. It's a very simple way of putting it, but it's an easier way of putting it than to go into the scientifics of it. You know what I mean? It's an easier thing.
I was having a really, really bad time a bunch of years ago. It was bad. I was underwater. The whole, it was just like everything was negative. And I had a friend that was helping me, and she said, you got to remain positive, think positive, be positive. And I'm like, well, I'm losing everything. I'm just lost Steve Stockton on this. and I'm losing, the ability to do certain things, and I can't stay positive. And she kept going like, have a good night, John. Pleasure. Thanks for stopping by. You want a good reading? Contact John Russell. He's amazing. But so she's telling me be positive, and I'm like, I got you positive right here. It's hard to be positive when you keep getting beaten, but she's right. And positivity begets good luck, good fortune. So I was telling people, if there's a law of attraction, there's also a law of reversibility.
Oh, absolutely.
Right?
Of course there is.
So if water can be turned into steam, right? Then steam can be turned into water. We kind of agree it's the reverse of X, Y, and Z, right?
Yeah.
So if being rich gives you the feeling of being wealthy, gives you the feeling of being wealthy, right? Then feeling that feeling of being wealthy, thinking you're wealthy, can induce the formation of wealth.
You're talking about manifestation, aren't you? I mean,
It's kind of
if
manifestation.
you manifest, if you say it shall be. If you think it, it shall be. But you have that constancy has to be. You have to live that constancy and give out give out that same vibrationary state, if you want to call it that. You know, to
you have to
get
put out there
return.
what you want to get back.
Like Steve Stockton using Wi-Fi and not being, rather than using a hard.
Sat here all day, no problems with it on here. It's been
You got to
out on
change your bird,
devices.
Steve. The Flintstone bird in there. Remember the little Flintstone episodes of the
He's
bird?
probably tired. You need to feed the bird.
Yes.
Feed the bird.
Yes, and it does take a lot of, diligence in saying the same thing and being positive. But I'll tell you what, I didn't do this with my child. My kids are great. My child did this, and she's her own. I swear to God, she's an old soul in a little body. She goes out there, and I've seen this in person where people are just not having a good day. They're having a crappy day, right? They work at the retail outlet or whatever, and they're nasty. And I'm like, oh God, we're going to be next in line with this woman. She's not nice. And my daughter go, I love your nails, or I love your shirt. I love your glasses. And instantaneously, the nasty, she's like, oh, thank you. Thank you so much. And everything changes.
Yeah. Just that one random act of kindness.
Yes.
Can have a domino effect.
And we have UFOs here, but this is why I constantly like, hey, Steve Lee, have a blessed day. I appreciate you having me on, and I do, and I appreciate anybody that asks me on, because you don't have to have me. I'm not anybody special. And and that's in my personal opinion. I do appreciate people that like what I say and follow. But no one has to have you on, and you should be thankful whenever you're asked. But in the case of, I'm seeing my UFO right there, right? And the extraterrestrials, one of the main things that experience that come back to this planet and are given messages and given the ability to remember their experience and so forth. The ET's saying the same thing. You guys got to start being more positive. You got to start thinking positive, being positive, raise your vibration. This warring, the reverse of that.
They've obviously not spent any time on planet Earth.
I'm thoroughly convinced, and it's a joke, but I'm thoroughly convinced when they go past Earth, they're like, lock it up, press the button.
No, what they got is they got signs posted outside as you come in. It's like, avoid Earth.
Yeah. Welcome to Earth. Now get out.
Yeah.
But they're all saying the same thing. Now, I'm not about hugging trees right now, okay? I mean, I appreciate plants and trees. They just came out with a huge report. All you vegans out there, you're going to have a problem now. Because they discovered, which we pretty much know, plants and trees and all the vegan stuff, they think, they feel, they see, they can recognize you. They respond to communication.
They also feed each other when one tree's sick or not getting enough water. The other root system from other trees feed that tree to make sure it stays alive.
Exactly. So there goes your old let's not kill the cows.
Yeah, I know. Yeah. Well, not to mention the fact there's one particular thing that they use, one of the food sources, their main food source, that the farmers that farm it kill more creatures per annum than you would if you ate a whole cow a year, and you
Really?
won't even. Yeah, oh yeah, because every single squirrel or snake or thousands of insects, all the wildlife that can't even come into contact with this particular crop. I can't remember what the crop is. I'll have to find out. But yeah, there's one particular crop that they kill more creatures per year than if you killed 5 or 6 cows. So
Jeez.
the whole righteousness of being a vegan for the sake of being a vegan because you don't want to harm animals is just a joke, and they don't even realise that that's what's happening. That's the thing.
Look, I am
It's
not
not
a
their
vegan.
fault. It's not a vegan's fault. They're doing it moral. For them, it's a moral choice or whatever, and for some, it's a health choice.
That's fine.
But,
again,
but
that's
they
their
don't
choice,
really
right?
realise. They don't really realise.
They're so militant, though. But a lot of people that are like
Yeah.
uber, vegan, it's really militant. And I'm like, listen, I said this before. You stay in your, you take care of your temple, and I'll take care of mine. That's
Yeah,
how it is. I respect you on that level. But I'm a vegan
Steve's gone again.
or a meatitarian.
I'm a vegan.
And
Give me the meat.
Yeah,
Give
yeah,
me that
yeah.
steak.
And I will have one caveat. Although it's good, I don't do veal because I want them to grow, and I don't like the process.
I've never eaten veal, so I wouldn't know.
Well, it's just a weird process. It's not for the faint of heart, but I want them to get bigger so I can get at least a belt, some shoes, and some stuff. I don't know. So, but the whole process, someone was mentioning there, if you're nice to the UFOs, do they not probe you? They're going to probe you. You get taken, you're getting probed.
I like a good probing, mate.
Well, I've had two missing time instances, and I believe I discussed it with you at one point, Steve.
Yeah, we talked about it on the radio show.
There was one during a day-night investigation in 2015 for 2 hours, and then the other one was for 3 hours, and my whole entire family was taken. And someone who just came back to Facebook, his name is Derek Tyler. He's an author. He wrote Alien Invasion, Unconvenient Truth, or something like that, or Extraterrestrial, something like that. Only thing that, with the exception of a doctor saying it's a girl, the only other thing that scared me was it really unnerved me in some of his chapters, what they do. But if you're being taken and you don't remember, do not do the regression. That's just my personal experience.
Missing time episode, I've had people say, "Why don't you go get revenge?" I'm like, I don't want to know if I was probed or what happened to me. There's a reason that I don't remember it.
It's like the different times I've seen because my experience is seeing a lot of orbs over my life, and I only realised in later life that I'd seen that many, and I've videoed a couple as well, and there's been one really strange occasion where, like I say, I was fishing and my friend, mid conversation, all of a sudden wasn't coherent, and I was completely confused by it as this big orb came across, and I'm shouting at him, and it literally were 30 feet apart. I'm shouting at. We were just talking, literally not even 3 seconds before that. And then as soon as I started to try to point out this orb, look at this! Oh my god! I'm saying to him, and then I've walked over to sort of shimmied over towards him, still looking at this thing. I hit his bivvy, which is like a half tent that you're sitting under, for fishing at the beach.
Oh, I know. Yeah.
And I've hit his tent, and he's gone, what? And because he's gone, what? I've looked at him and said, look at that, and looked back, and it's gone.
Well, that's because they wanted you to see it, not him.
Yeah, I know. Well, that's the alleged thing, but yeah.
And it's really, really weird because this, again, getting back to the extraterrestrials, if we vibrated at a higher frequency, we would have more interaction with these beings because we're evolving to where we should be. We only use a certain percentage of our brain, not that much.
Well,
some people say that we use 90 plus if you're sleeping or at a state of rest. And that very well may be true because then we don't let anything else affect us. And when you're at a state of rest, there's dreams and then there are experiences. two different things.
There's a nutty thing about musicians, and there was a study done and brain scans done of musicians playing an instrument while singing,
Yep.
right? And the whole of the brain lights up, not just like one portion. The whole of the whole both hemispheres light up as if beaming out sound. It's crazy.
Well,
It's really crazy.
again, you're using two hemispheres.
Yeah.
Anybody that's quantitative, musical, artistic, all you ladies out there use two hemispheres all the time. That's why a lot of the telekinesis and all the problems they have with, like, young girls, usually pre-pubescent, and even when they start puberty, doors open.
Poltergeist activity.
Yeah,
Yeah.
poltergeist. They're doing it because they're using both hemispheres. Young men do it too. I mean, young kids do it until they brainwash them and get rid of the knowledge and put the other crap in. But
Yeah, I think I avoided all that malarkey, thankfully.
yeah,
And, I think I've kept some of my innocence, kind of thing, in that way.
Yeah,
It's a strange thing, and I've also, I think, deprogrammed myself to a lot of things as well, in realization of them. Like many of us have.
oh, we you have to. Not everything that's extraterrestrial is here for your benefit. Okay,
Nah,
the bottom
of
line is
course.
99% of them, my personal opinion, they're here to conduct biological experiments.
Observational.
Well, they're also trying
Yeah,
to
like we
replenish-
do when we go on safari and we tranquilize an animal, study it for a bit, and then put it back into its environment, and it's wondering, how the bloody hell do I get out of it?
artificially inseminate to
Yeah,
increase the herd. They do this
yeah.
too. And when they do take you, and if you're taken, they're taking it. Men, they need sperm samples for men, and the quickest way to get it is from the rear end. It is a certain spot internally, and you will release. Women, on the other hand, get it. The eggs are within, their vaginal area there. A lot of times they are artificially inseminated with not other humans' sperm, but these other extraterrestrials, and they create these hybrid children.
And then
And
3 months later, they come and take the pregnancy out,
yep, and then
it looks like they haven't even been pregnant.
it physically looks like it, but there's certain tells the body has had.
Yeah.
And there's plenty of people who've had this experience and they freak out and they felt like they were pregnant, but they don't have a relationship with anybody. Like, what's going on? And they go to the doctor and like, well, I mean, it kind of looks like you're pregnant. And then down the line, they keep abducting you, and you see this. They introduce you to the hybrid that you've created.
Well, that's it. They introduce you to your child or whatever.
Right, and then they want to, they study how you interact.
And I'll say this on that level. There's been millions of those people that have come forward saying those things.
Yeah.
Now, at the end of the day, you can't call everybody a liar. So even if there's some that's jumped on a bandwagon, to get their 5 minutes of fame or whatever they think that they're going to get from it, you can't call everybody a liar. And the same as experiencers, the ones that have said that they've been abducted and stuff. You can't call all of them liars. Yeah, there's going to be some that want to be part of it, but then there's ones who are genuinely have something to say, and it's
Right.
quite moving, really.
Well, it's interesting when you get into these people that have been abducted, what you remember and when you remember it is all part of what your constitution is mentally and emotionally, how you can deal with it. Okay. And where you are frequency wise, vibration wise, they're open to this. This isn't going to freak them out too much because, and I'm going to say this, when they do this to people, it's no different from being raped, no matter if you're a man or a woman.
Yeah, of course.
Okay,
Of course.
it's a violation.
Well, it's invasive,
of
no matter how,
right.
and no matter how you look at it, you're abducted. It's
Right.
invasive.
But-
It's taken out of your environment. You don't know how you
Exactly.
got there. Or,
And
how
this
you
is why
do it.
you don't want to regress, because you can unlock that memory and you can't handle it, and you may not, You may do
You
things that are
may not recover from that.
Yeah,
Yeah.
right.
psyche or shatter your psyche, I think, or could.
Right. And but there are some people that what they do is they slowly let them remember some things, like I remember this or I remember, and then over time they'll start giving them messages and they'll say, this is what we're doing. We're trying to save our race. We're trying to save your planet. You got to open yourself up. You got to do like green stuff. Well, whatever they tell you, it depends. Everybody's different and every race is different.
I think a lot of that is connected to your own wants and desires, though. I think because it seems to coalesce with a lot of the times with what people's background are. If you go into people's backgrounds of what they've been about, if you know what I mean,
Right.
the messages they get seem to align with their spiritual journey or whatever it is you want to call it. You know,
Yeah,
it's a funny thing. It's like an affirmation for their self. I think more than a message. That's my take. You know,
right. I've seen some. There's a couple people, and one of the guys that I point to and is a gentleman you may have heard in the UFO community, Stan Romanek, and I believe Stan was convicted.
Oh, Stan Romanek. Oh dear. Oh dear. Oh dear. Yeah.
And he was convicted of child
molestation.
pornography or something to that effect.
Yeah. Yeah.
But this is a guy that had. First of all, I think they purposely did it. I know people in certain agencies and that work. I'm very good friends with people, and I'm like, well, if someone's doing something stupid and you want them to stop, what do you do? Like, who takes
Well,
them
that
out?
seems to be the way that all those people seem to take people down is with the molestation thing.
Right.
It
So what
seems
they'll do is
that seems to be the thing because it's the most thing that you can be turned off from someone for.
100%. So they'll get you on a child pornography charge. Now, I don't know
Yeah.
Stan Romanek personally. He may have done it, but I doubt it. He kept pushing and pushing and pushing. This man had like a 5th grade math education. He's been abducted numerous times by multiple races of extraterrestrials, plus the U.S. government, constantly harassed by the U.S. government. They're always watching him. He had no great life. But over time, I'm 99% positive they told him, stop. You're pushing it. Do not go that far. Don't push it. Just leave it alone. And he didn't because he was frustrated and pissed off, and they got him on that charge. But putting that aside, this man I think he came up with element 115 years or a decade prior to our scientists discovering element 115. He wrote it out.
Well,
He
you're
came
talking
up
about
with
Bob
star
Lazar
charts.
now.
Yeah,
That's
he came
Bob
up with
Lazar,
star
wasn't he?
charts. He came up
Yeah.
with engines and technology, drawings, and calculations. You couldn't do that with a 5th grade education. And he kept getting abducted by extraterrestrials. He'd wake up and abducted. They allowed him in one interview, I think he had, where he said, I'm in the craft and everything's black. And all I see is this screen in front of me, and it's flashing really, really quickly. Like a movie, but it's boom, 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 boom. And I'm absorbing everything. They're showing me craft, and they show me how it operates. They show me the chemicals, show me all the words, the text. And he remembers
it. I'm really skeptical of things like that because why would they show some random guy how their things work? You know, it's a bit.
I understand that.
It's a
I would
bit
say the
of a
same thing.
strange thing. That's like me, the musician, getting abducted and them show me how their body systems work and how their ship works and stuff. And I'd be like, what am I supposed to do with that?
Well, there is a
I've
certain
thought about
element. Yeah, there's a certain element that are extraterrestrials that want you to advance and want you to evolve. There's some of them want you to be subservient. So we don't know which extraterrestrials have talked to him about it. Maybe he was being used by them to facilitate a certain event that would benefit another race, not necessarily mankind.
Or maybe just to cause controversy and conversation. You know, because
That
even
too.
even the smallest of seeds can grow into a tree. You know,
Exactly.
so you only
Especially
have to,
this
even if it's
society.
the wrong, because you're directing the wrong person, that person then seeks answers, right? Because
Right.
then you go to people that would maybe know, and then you've enlightened them to a possibility of something. And then they do the discovery, and then that then grows. into the tree kind of thing.
Right. So there's rumors and conjecture that Gene Roddenberry had experiences
Yep.
with
Yep.
UFOs.
Well,
And a lot of
apparently,
the Star
he was
Trek
supposed
stuff,
to have been with. He was supposed to have been with Eisenhower on that meeting.
right.
The alleged meeting
But-
of with extraterrestrials, whatever you want to call them.
But isn't it interesting? He created a series about a variety of different races of extraterrestrials, and we traveling there. What a great way to get people used to it.
Well, yeah. If you're gonna introduce the idea of intergalactic planetary guests and stuff coming in,
Right.
the best way to do it is to introduce it into pop culture.
Get them
that-
used to it.
so that the masses, from all walks of life, will get to, to understand that there's that possibility, even if they don't believe it. It's too late. It's sowed the seed, So even if you don't believe it and you think it's a whole load of hogwash, it matters not, because it's dampened down the effect of shock. The
Right.
shock effect of a new species, because the people would just look up and say, well, they said that on Star Trek, they've had that on so even if you're not a fan of those sort of shows, you will reference it if ever aliens did show themselves in en masse.
You would be
just
like,
say,
oh,
well,
it's just an alien. Okay.
there
Here's
you go.
Here's another thing, right? So everybody's like, well, we need disclosure in the U.S. We need to talk about these hearings, and the guy that gets paid to lie and cheat, for the U.S. military is also the guy telling us the truth about everything. Think about that for a few minutes. I appreciate your work as a military personnel, Lou, but I mean, this whole disclosure movement in Congress is BS. And I'll tell you, and I've said it numerous times, disclosure about extraterrestrials and UFOs and what's been going on was done in 1977, long before Whitley Strieber put out the Communion book, by the way, or anybody else. It was in the movie Close Encounters of the Third Kind.
Yeah.
And guess what, folks?
That was the soft disclosure. That was. Yeah,
that was
as far as I'm
full
concerned.
disclosure, because the man
Yeah, but soft. I'm
responsible-
talking about soft,
Yeah, no,
as
no.
in the fact it was done through a movie.
100%. But the man that was responsible for proving it false, Dr. Hynek, was in the movie. He didn't breach his security clearance. He didn't say anything. He didn't breach any of that. All he did was take a pipe out of his mouth and look on top of the mountain.
Yeah, that's
And what
literally
did
all
they
he
see?
did. Yeah.
A lot of creatures that kind of look like gray extraterrestrials, right?
Yeah.
And a big craft. There's your disclosure. What a great way to see how, I mean, it's a great movie to begin with, how all these people are connected subconsciously and they're told to meet there because they're supposed to be there. This is what happens. This is why you interfere. This is why
That was what turned me on to Richard Dreyfuss. It wasn't Jaws.
I to this day, I still take my mashed potatoes and make it into devil's
Yeah,
tower.
same.
Make devil's tower out of your mashed potatoes.
I don't even eat the damn
Yeah.
potatoes. My wife said,
mashed
"What are you
potatoes
doing?"
only for making Devil's Tower.
Devil's Tower. And Devil's Tower, by the way, it's not rock, it's a tree stump, but we won't go on there in this episode.
Well, it's a petrified tree stump,
Yes, it
isn't
is.
it?
Yes, it is.
A rock. That's what it looks like to me.
Oh, yeah, it's petrified. There's more of them around the world.
Giant
than you know.
tree.
I'm on
Giant
tree
tree.
stump. But, this is why you do what you do. And a lot of this, if you took a few minutes of your day and you started meditating, start with 5 minutes. You know where you can do it? Go into the loo or the water closet or the bathroom. And when you're getting away from your life and your kids, just sit there, close your eyes, and breathe in and out while you're doing what you're doing. You're meditating. Try to do it elsewhere. And you want to build up. If you have a problem, you can use the binaural beats. I use stuff from Bonsai Lab. It is an app on all the phones called Bonsai Lab. It's Brainwave. They have free ones. They have paid ones. They have a whole package. Like for $7, you get like 10 different apps. And some of them are for stimulating you, waking you up like coffee, some of them to relax you. If you get migraines, it works with the binaural beats, but it also, I use it to meditate. The more you meditate, you're going to change your whole entire life and your outlook, especially if you're under stress. Great way to do it is if you know you're going home to a home that is from hell, or it's just going to be disgruntled or crazy, or you have babies crying or whatever it is, and it takes you 20 minutes to go from work to home, make it 40 minutes and take the extra 40 minutes to just sit there and just decompress and meditate. And what you're going to see is life's going to get better. It's going to get more positive. It's not going to affect you. It's not going to hurt you. You're going to be like, wow, this is great. And the more you meditate, the better your vibration is. You raise your frequency, and all the little things down there do not bother you. You know, we're not, at one point in time, there's plenty of us that were worried about that third grade spelling bee, right? Or the sixth grade history test. Oh my God. Well, we're a lot older now. Do you think it matters? No, it doesn't. That's what raising your vibration does. It takes things that really don't matter and puts it to the side. And the most thing is not only that positive vibe and that it's love. I don't want to sound like
dwelling
hippie.
on certain, not dwelling
Yeah.
on negative issues. Acceptance is the key. So you accept
Yes.
something's out of your control and you move on in positivity. I think that's the
Kind of
that's
like the Serenity
that's
Prayer
the-
that AA or NA or whoever it is that teaches that.
Yes, it's really important, because if you can figure out how to deal with those little things, it gives you more free time. You're like, oh, we don't need to worry about it. It'll be fine. Something will happen. Like, oh, well, how am I going to make this payment? Well, I have no money, so they're not getting anything. That's it. Move on. You know, and I'll deal with the X while it comes.
Yep,
And when
exactly
you change
that. I've done that exactly that.
Yep.
It's like
I think we've all done that.
something's happened. I'm like, well, nothing I can do about that. Oh wow.
Well, I've learned
Oh,
one
well.
of the lessons I've learned is, you know,
Move
when
along.
you're late
Yep.
and you're rushing, this is what's going to happen. I'm telling you, you're going to have a problem. You're going to have an accident, or
You're gonna make it longer as well.
right. And
You
I'll
know,
tell you
it's-
another. It's if you're late already, enjoy it. You're going to get yelled at either way. Enjoy it.
Yep. Yep.
Slow down. Don't go around the bus. You know, just drive there. Like, yeah, I know I'm late. I'm sorry. Blah blah blah. That's it. Move on. Because I know that a couple of times when I was late, my other half was like, we're late. And I had an issue with the bus and it didn't go in my favor. My car got damaged. So from now on, I'm like, I'm not rushing. That's how accidents happen. I'm late. I'll live with it. Who cares? Right? That's what we
Yeah.
do.
Yeah.
Yep. I know. You know, Churnator, I know life isn't easy. Trust me. I was just talking about it. There's a lot that's going on that's really, really hard.
Yeah,
and it's hard to
for
remain
him though,
positive.
he's got extremes. So he's talking in the extremes though, because
Right.
he experiences things in the extremes. Unlike 90% of people don't suffer in the extremes, Stephen.
Right.
Most people are base level, and
Right.
you know we aren't in danger of losing our other only healthy leg that we've got, and we're not all in a wheelchair, buddy. And so for most people, a down day is a downer. You know, when
Yeah.
you're as severely disabled as you are, buddy. Of course, your cards are you know, exceed any of us normies, whatever you want to call us. You
Right.
know, and because Steve's very highly disabled, so he lives in perpetual, you know, and it's hard for him to find positivity in that. And
I know.
I get that, but you know, you still have to try and find that positive vibe somewhere to be able to carry on, you know, and to be able to manage it.
And you know, I think everybody here will send you prayers, healing, recovery, blessings, and we do wish you the best. But you know, it's unfortunate. I mean, I've been dealt some screwed up cards in my life. Okay. It's the path I had to walk on, and it's not been rainbows and sunshine. Matter of fact, it's been really dark at a lot of points, but that's what makes me who I am. Unfortunately, you're in a situation where it's making you who you are. And I think a way for you to deal with it is if you can meet with other people that are experiencing it or just experiencing it and
I've
use it as a
suggested this to him that
positive.
he needs to interact with other people
You do
who are like himself.
talk to
He
people
doesn't get
about it.
out. All
Go to
he lives in
schools,
is
talk to kids
his
about
own
it.
perpetual sadness.
And you need to when you talk about it, all that frustration and that negativity, and you're helping others, that stuff starts to ease. And that could be your purpose here. I don't know you personally, but I know that, trust me, the Bryan 20, 30 years ago, I wasn't talking about positive, and trees. I was talking about, punk music and doing stupid things and getting in trouble, you know, and you learn over time in life, that was my out for the darkness that I was going through, family wise and monetary. But I definitely, you know, things change. Life does change. Life will get better. Just stay with it. I was coming back when I was with my family. We're looking for a place in Florida to live to get out of New York. And we drove back. We're in Florence, South Carolina, and it's like 1:30 in the morning. And I get a message from a friend of mine on Facebook. Good kid, really good guy. And he's on the edge. He's gonna jump. And my wife's like, "Come on, you got to go to bed." And I said, "No, I will be talking to this friend because he can't jump, and I will not be part of that. And he needs to." And I was there for that person. And just by talking and showing, like when you hear it from a different perspective, you're going to give people hope. You're going to hear. I know it's hard for you to speak about it, but once you get over that hurdle, it's going to flow. And if you can't speak about it, write it in a book and publish it and give it out to people. It doesn't take you, it just takes some time to go type it out, get somebody to edit it and publish it. I've published a book, published my music, Words and Muses. These are all my lyrics, all my music. It's called copyrighted, but I put it into a book. A lot of poetry. There's a lot of stuff there about family. It's really upfront. I mean, I sing it and I speak it to people. People are like, wow, that's really a heavy song. I'm like, well, yeah, you should live my life. Okay. The point is, do it. It's tough, but do it. Nothing in life is easy. If it was easy, we'd all be doing it. Right? If it's easy, Lee and Steve would have, this would be sponsored by Procter Gamble, they'd have millions of dollars and, their life would be great. But it's not. And I don't know you, but I'm saying keep going. Keep going. Do not stop. Do not let them stop. Do not stop yourself. Talk about it. Write it out. Once you publish it, then talk about it. I'm telling you, what's happening to you is happening to a bunch of other people, and they need somebody to talk to about it. And you can all get together and talk, and then you can help other people. And then it doesn't become hard to talk about. This is how we grow as a world. A great example is I forgot who it was. I heard this from a friend. She's on the line at a supermarket, and there's a person in front of her, and there's someone at the register, and this young kid's ringing up the groceries, and then there's there's a line building behind her, and this kid's really slow, and someone's like, well, for Christ's sake, could you go forward? Let's go, giving him a hard time. They want to get out with their 6-pack or whatever they're buying. The kid breaks down. So this person I know goes to the kid, are you okay? And he's like, no, I'm not okay. And he's crying because my dad died today. I have to come to work because I have no money. Right? So she said, okay, don't worry about it. Take your time. The woman in front who's about to give her an attitude is like, it's okay. And they help him out. And she turns around and everybody heard it. This is what people are going through in life. All it needs is one person to be considerate of them. That was the hardest day for this kid, probably. His dad died, and he couldn't even mourn his father or deal with it because he had to go to work. Right? If you have your issues, but you got to keep going. And yeah, it sucks. I trust me. I know people that have been through.
Well, this is what I'm saying. You
Yeah,
need to have some positivity drilled into you sometimes. You know what I mean? Because if you just live in perpetual misery, you're going to perpetuate that misery.
exactly. Think of life as a yin yang. Okay, with a lot of good,
Exactly.
there's always a little evil, and with a lot of evil, there's a lot of good. A lot of evil is always a little good. You're in the darkness portion of it. You need to start seeing the light. Write it out. First of all, that releases the pressure from you, raising your vibration, right? Publish it, talk about it, come on a podcast. And I'm sure there's tons of them that people would love to hear from you. I've been on a dozen podcasts I never would have been normally on my radar, but they're about how to help people when they lose everything and whatever. And I've talked to it. I try personally to leave people with a positive outlook because life sucks. Go out that door right now between the economies
That's
and
what I try to
war.
do with my show as well. Try to keep it positive. It's a music show. I want it to be positive vibes
Oh, yeah,
and
yeah,
stuff.
yeah.
Uplifting, not a downer. That's it.
100%. So with
I understand people have downers. They have crappy lives and stuff. But
Yep.
you're not the only one in the world that has a crappy life.
Right.
I mean, my wife's had cancer. And we had to go through that. But you have to just live with it, find some positivity, and move on. Otherwise you're just going to stagnate in negativity.
Yeah.
It's not a good thing. For Kim and I, we just tried to carry on as best as normal, as we always did. With that in tow.
Right.
But that was the follower, not the leader.
Look, you hope you have a life where you just can get through and love and maybe work and here and there, but there's no big issues and problems, but they happen to everybody. People die. I mean, I know I was just talking about this to someone today. I met a gentleman when I worked for a bank in New York City. Great guy named Rob. Guy's 6'7". My wife used like, you guys still on the phone? Yeah. We would talk for hours upon hours, and we would talk about he was a photographer. We would talk about politics and what we think is going to happen. Talk about the COVID stuff. And he was very spiritual, and he was going through a process at one point where he was praying because he started seeing things like fire and darkness around him, and he couldn't get out, and he was fearing like it was a devil attack or something. So he started praying, and then when he'd feel like a vibration, like movement, by his head. It would go from the top of his head down, and then it would start coming back up on him, and he freaked him out, and he backed away. So I said, Rob, what you're doing is you're connecting your brain, body, mind, heart, and soul. That's a full connection. Then you rise up and you elevate. He goes, you need to let that happen, and you'll elevate. And it took him a while, he was still working on it because it freaked him out. But we would talk about these things. And he was sick one day. And I'm like, dude, why don't you go to like a doc in the box? We have those things in the States where it's like an emergency clinic, but it's not really attached to a hospital, and it's less expensive than going to the doctor. Whatever, they like to go see it. So I call it doc in the box. He's like, no. So a week goes by, and I'm like, listen, Rob, you haven't gotten better. If you don't go to a doc in the box, I'm going to drive out to your house, and I'm going to drag your ass in my car, and we're going to go there. And I'm 6'1", he's 6'7", he's, whatever. But my whole point was, you need to get some help. And, he tried to push it away. But 2 days later, he went and got his brother, like on a Monday or something like that, or a Sunday. Brother took him to his doctor. The doctor said, nope, you got to take him to a hospital. In the hospital, they discovered he had lesions on his brain, his lungs, and his spine. Stage 4. And they were going to be very aggressive because he was 43 years old, and they could be very aggressive with him. and I talk to him almost every day. I'm like, "How you doing?" I'm scared, but he had a lot of faith in God. And the last conference, call I had was on a Wednesday, and he was really scared. And I said, "I know, brother, I love you to death, but you have that faith in God, and once you put your faith in God, you'll be fine." And he goes, "Thank you. I love you. You love you, brother." And that was the last time I ever heard from him. He passed away. And I knew he did because 2 hours later, as I was leaving my kitchen where I was hanging out, talking to him, I walked to go to the loo restroom for those in America and loo for those in the UK. And as I walked out, I saw him standing in the peripheral of my eye in my apartment. And I stopped enough to look. Nothing was there. And I said, "I think he died." He was just standing there looking at me with a smile. So use that, come back. 2 days later, which was a Friday, I get a phone call from Connecticut. And something said, "You need to answer this phone call." And I did. And it was Rob's sister. Rob had a brother and a sister. And she said, "Hi, this is Rob's sister." And I'm not going to mention her name. He really loved talking to you. And I just want you to know Rob passed away on Wednesday. And I didn't say, "Yeah, I know it," because I saw him in my house. I said, I was upset, but I had a couple of days to deal with it. He was in such a bad spot, and they wanted me to come to his viewing, and I did, of course. But what was interesting on top of that is when I went to his viewing, the next time I see this guy, we're supposed to get together. We're supposed to go do some photography stuff. I was supposed to go to Montana. He was supposed to come down to Florida, all these plans gone. It was his 44th birthday that they had his viewing on, which is real. It's surreal to see your friend lying dead in a casket and meeting his mother and his brother and his sister-in-law and whatever there. And they were lovely people. And he had only a few friends there. And at one point I was thinking in my head, well, I come up here anyhow. It's a certain part of New York State. And I'll be able to stop by his grave and just say hi to him. This is, people go to the grave, they say hello to their family members, whatever. And then the family announces that they thank you, everybody, for coming to the viewing. And tomorrow, Rob, it'll be family only for the cremation. And it hit me. Rob having all those dreams that we were talking about, trying to figure out whether it was because his subconscious of COVID or if it was just his nerves or what's going on in the world of him feeling like he's surrounded by darkness and fire and can't get out, like he's in a box. My friend was literally living through his cremation. He was experiencing his cremation and we didn't even know it at the time. That's pretty intense to let that hit you in the head. Then I still miss the guy, and I see him and I get to talk to him, believe it or not. I have something called Claire Audio, and Claire really could have her audio back. It is buggy when you hear dead people. And it's not this going crazy, it's audio. It's audio messaging. But here's another thing. This man was at a prime in his life as well. Really, really, really nice guy. A lot to offer. One of the good guys. And what happens? What we don't get to choose our path in life. And you're going through a tough time. Try to make it positive. Because when you get back up to there, all this doesn't matter. You'll have your legs back. You'll have your arm back. You'll breathe back. He's up there. He may even got in his wings. Who knows? But stay positive. And the more positive you are, the more good things will happen to you. I didn't mean to bring anybody down. But
good stuff there, Bryan. We appreciate that.
Well, it's my pleasure. I mean, I'm probably eventually going to have to go a little bit because I have a show that's on every Wednesday. I'm one of
Yeah.
the three beards on the
We've
podcast.
actually ran about 21 minutes over how long we
Yep.
normally go, but we'll go ahead and wrap it up and let you
Well,
get
that's
out of
because
here.
that blooming Bryan, mate, he was rambling on.
Oh yeah, it's really interesting. I was going to talk about draconians today, but if you want me to come back, I'll do that.
Yeah, we'll have you back sometime. And we didn't touch on really any of the topics, but this was organic and it was interesting. So
Appreciate it.
I hope the audience
That's what you
got as
do.
much
You
out of it
get
as
them
I
on,
did.
you get them talking. There you go.
Yeah.
It's what happens when you get artists and authors and musicians talking, and and there's
All
no
over the
pub
road, and
around.
that's where I've always been most comfortable.
Yeah, it
I
would
don't
have been
pick a
better if we
lane.
all
I
had.
don't stay in my lane.
Yes, exactly. But it's a pleasure, Lee and Steve. Always a pleasure, brother. I thank everybody in chat, and I really, I have a lot of friends in there. Ghost Lore and Steve and Nana and there's a whole bunch of people and Frozen. I've seen a bunch of you guys. Love you all, and just be positive. I'm trying to.
Yeah, good call there, Brian. Sir Brian. All right,
Thanks.
and I'll leave a link to your link tree in the show notes, and people can check you out online. We'll see you in the funny papers, buddy. Thanks again.
You got it, brother. Be well. Good night, everybody.
See you later, fella.
Well, Lee, we have another one wrapped up there. What do you think?
Yeah, it was interesting enough, wasn't it? Same. It's always the same sort of thing, isn't it, with us?
Yeah, and I love that. No matter what we planned, it's the best laid plans of mice and men, as you sing about in your one song there. And
Yeah.
anyway, a great show. Well, we're gonna go ahead and get on out of here. I got to get my dog outside. But Lee, as always,
And I've got to get my beauty sleep. I need about 40 million hours.
But thanks for being here. Thanks to everybody out here who watched us live. And for those of you in the future watching the playback, we're here each week, Wednesday night, 6 p.m. Eastern. Everything.
Thanks, everybody.
Wrong show. From Beyond. Everything out there is my radio show. I've got so many of them, I forget what's what.
From Beyond.
Thanks, everybody. Good night. Lee's going to play us out.